How's it going, my fellow critters? Welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down everything that happened in Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 53, as Matt Mercer continues to drive the story onward as our world of Exandria is an absolute shambles as the apogee solstice rages on. As always, if you enjoyed the video, learned something new, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Why don't you check out some of our other Critical Role in D&D content, like our video we put out on Thursday where I ranked every single Critical Role player character's backstory. Let's get right into the video. Last night's episode was a lot of fun, so let's just break right into it, shall we? So we last left off in Critical Role, our party was dealing with the fallout of the apogee solstice and the grand plans of Ludinus Delath. Our party had been split into two separate groups. Currently, we are with Group 1, who has been transported into the northern region of Wildmount as they make their way to Earthadurn with two guest characters. In this episode, our party finally arrive in Uthadurn, Chetney's kind of hometown, a town where he spent much of his life, a town that I think is intimately linked more deeply with our story here and with Ludinus Delath, but we're going to get to all of that later. With the apogee solstice in full swing, and obviously the deeds of Ludinus and the moon of Ruidus making things hella weird, magic within the world right now, specifically divination magic, is not working as intended. Much of the enchantments around the city of Uthadurn, and as well we can assume around the world, have broken. The lights in the town are dim, all of the temples have been shut down as well. Much of the magical enchantments around like teleportation circles, mass transportation, magical prisoners have all been broken, creating for a very, very interesting problem that we have to now deal with in the consequences for future endeavors in Exandria. The amount of potential RP and stories that Matt created with this storyline, potentially releasing all of these magical prisoners and releasing all of these magical enchantments that have been in place for hundreds and hundreds of years, yeah, you can think about just how bad some of these things might be. On the top of our head, we can think of a few issues that might be a problem, such as a certain Horn of Orcus or a possible phoenix named Deseret, which is trapped inside of a mountain, a phoenix that was ridden by Asmodeus himself, as well as a huge number of other potential problems that have now been set free across Exandria. Our party learned all of this information from a group of arcanists who they tasked to research Ludinus Delath, as suddenly a loud bang rings out throughout the city as our party leave this establishment going to figure out what exactly is going on. Now, quick side tangent here. Ludinus Delath is originally from the city of Milasmir, or something, that's how you pronounce it, an ancient elven city that apparently was destroyed when the fall of Aor happened during the calamity. So for some more context here, the elves that lived in the city of Milasmir were forced to leave when a corruption spread throughout the woods, the same corruption that was in the Blooming Grove where Caduceus was from. And in the Campaign 2 wrap-up, Matt confirmed that the corruption that was in Milasmir, that was in the Blooming Grove, originated and can be traced back to something that was brought from Aor. The city of Uthadurn is not too far away from where the city of Milasmir once existed, and thus many of the elves that live in Uthadurn, which I believe was originally a dwarven city, now migrated, the city now becoming a dwarven and elven kind of haven for both of them, as their king is an elf and their queen is a dwarf, or something along those lines, thus linking the two peoples together in this kind of ancient link. What's interesting, though, is that we know Ludinus Delath is from Milasmir. We know that Milasmir has some kind of link here with whatever is going on, whatever his motivations are for doing all of this stuff, for releasing Predathos, for trying to destroy the gods. If Ludinus Delath really is over 1,000 years old and really did live in Milasmir and saw the fall and the destruction of Milasmir in the calamity or shortly after the calamity, this would make a lot of sense. And I think that there are a ton of links that our party are going to discover between Ludinus and this region of Wildmount and his links back into the calamity. Our party rush off deeper into the city to investigate this loud bang as they see many nobles as well as the king and queen fleeing the palace in the heart of the city. Our group managed to sneak their way inside of a large door which has been sealed shut as they discover some kind of great bull-like beast that is rampaging throughout this palace district. Apparently this beast was just a stone statue up until this point, but the diminishing of enchantments has released it from its prison. Now I have to give our party here massive credit, as well as massive credit to Matt. Our party somehow managed to divert and go around this potential encounter as Fern cast dominate dominate beast on this beast, FCG communicating with the creature, to which they discovered that this creature was some kind of guardian of the Savalier Wood in the ancient history. Ultimately, our party managing to somehow negotiate with this creature and then release it back into the wild to where it can head out into the Savalier Wood. The Savalier Wood, as we remember, is a cursed forest in the north of Mildmount, in the graying wildlands. It seems that the Savalier Wood has indeed suffered greatly with the loss of its guardian, and this is really where our episode ends. Overall, a pretty fun episode. I always love it when DMs and players manage to take what seems like a simple combat scenario and manage to avoid it or go around it or think outside the box in solving it. Imagine if our party would have just killed this creature, we never would have learned any of this information. So I really have to give them a round of applause, hats off, for figuring this out, for thinking outside the box, as this is kind of really what D&D is all about, and I love it, and I love that Matt allowed them to do this. DMs out there, take notes. Players out there, take notes. You guys can solve combat scenarios without actually using combat if you think hard enough and think outside the box. Overall, a fun episode that really gave us kind of perspective on just how bad the potential fallout of the Apogee Solstice and all the events that Ludinus is doing right now could have. It seems like our party managed to somehow slow the effects of this release of Pedathos, at least we believe. We don't know for sure what exactly is happening on Exandria. All we know is that the world at the moment has not ended yet, and I can't wait to see what happens next time. Okay, before we end the video, I want to talk about something a little more serious, and that was kind of an elephant in the room last night on Critical Role. So last night's episode was sponsored by the DnD movie, No Honor Among Thieves, something that I'm genuinely surprised that they decided to do, seeing as they went out of their way to drop their D&D Beyond sponsor and make a big show out of going back to pencil and paper, obviously because of the backlash that Wizards of the Community and Hasbro had for the big drama of the OGL. If you have no idea what I'm talking about with the OGL drama, click the eye above to get yourself a little educated. You see, ultimately at the end of the day, Hasbro's owns Wizards of the Coast, which has the IP rights to D&D. So thus they are responsible for this D&D movie. Also, the fact that the D&D movie is being distributed by Entertainment One, a media company that is run and owned by Hasbro, the parent company of Wizards, the holder of the IP for Dungeons and Dragons. Now, call me old-fashioned, maybe I'm just a person of principle, but it seems kind of weird to make a big deal out of not taking a sponsor like D&D Beyond, which is owned by Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, but they're willing to take a sponsor for the D&D movie, which is produced and made from an IP which is owned by Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, a company that is extremely predatory and would have basically killed and changed D&D forever if we would have let them literally a month ago. But now it seems like it's perfectly fine and reasonable because enough time has passed, I guess, for people to forget about the D&D and the OGL drama. I mean, this is just how the world works, unfortunately. People have a very short memory and they seem to just forget, and it seemed like the fan base didn't even seem to have a problem at all with the fact that they were taking this sponsor. It's really not that big of a deal in the bigger picture, I guess, but it bothers me a little bit that Critical Role continue to take Hasbro's and Wizards' money. In many ways, they kind of are forced to work with Wizards of the Coast. Obviously, Matt Mercer has several books that are co-published with Wizards of the Coast, so I understand that there is a partnership there, but it's a partnership that, if I'm gonna be honest, I just don't like because this company is extremely predatory. Hasbro has made it extremely clear they don't give a f about D&D or the community behind D&D, and this is permeated throughout several employees, high-ranking employees in Wizards of the Coast. All I'm gonna say is I was just a little bit disappointed with Critical Role as an organization that they would still continue to take sponsorships from D&D, from Hasbro's, from Wizards of the Coast. But I guess at the end of the day, it is what it is. Expect a full video covering the D&D movie later on in the future and all of the problems going on with it, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of Critical Role in the comments down below. As well, I'd like to see your thoughts about what you think of Critical Role continuing to take sponsorships with Hasbro's, with Wizards. Does it bother you? Does it not bother you at all? At the end of the day, I guess it doesn't really matter all that much, but you won't see me giving Hasbro's or Wizards of the Coast any of my money anytime soon. As always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace, love, adu.
wasn't supposed to happen. So much talk around us, we became numb to the yapping. It was like 05, got my license to drive. Picked you up in my pop's car, went for a ride. Couldn't no one tell us nothing, that night was ours. All the stars aligned and you were so damn fine.